If you were a kid in America during the 1960s, snack time was something special. After school, bikes were tossed in the yard, the screen door slammed shut, and hungry kids rushed into the kitchen looking for something sweet. Pantries were filled with colorful boxes, foil wrappers, and sugary treats that felt like little treasures. Some were inspired by the space race, others came straight from the imagination of candy, makers trying to win over young taste buds. Many of those snacks didn't last forever. Companies changed, tastes shifted, and some treats slowly disappeared from store shelves. But for the kids who grew up with them, the memories are still fresh. Today we're looking at 12 forgotten American snacks every kid loved in the 1960s. 1. Space food sticks. In the 1960s, America was fascinated with rockets, astronauts, and the dream of reaching the moon. Snack makers joined the excitement with a treat called space food sticks, created by Pillsbury. These chewy chocolate bars were inspired by the compact foods astronauts carried into space. Kids loved the idea that they were eating something similar to what astronauts might pack on a mission. The bars were sweet, soft, and easy to carry in a lunchbox. For a few years, they felt like the snack of the future, but when the space craze faded, so did space food sticks. 2. Banana flips. Lunchboxes in the 1960s were often filled with small snack cakes, and one of the most memorable was the banana flip from Hostess Brands. It was a soft, banana-flavored cake filled with creamy filling and covered with a thin layer of chocolate. The flavor was sweet and a little unusual, which made it stand out from other snack cakes. Kids loved unwrapping the foil and taking that first bite after school. It felt like a tiny dessert waiting in your lunch bag. But as new snack cakes replaced old favorites, banana flips slowly vanished from shelves. The fizzies. In the 1960s, making a drink could feel like a science experiment. Fizzies, created by Emerson Drug Company, were small flavored tablets you dropped into a glass of water. Within seconds, the tablet would bubble and fizz, turning plain water into a sweet, colorful drink. Kids loved watching the bubbles swirl around the glass before taking a sip. It felt like magic happening right in the kitchen. But concerns about artificial ingredients eventually slowed sales, and fizzies disappeared from many stores. 4. 7-Up bars. The 7-Up bar, made by Pearson's Candy Company, was one of the most unusual candy bars of its time. Instead of one flavor, it had 7 different sections, each filled with a different sweet treat. Coconut, caramel, fudge, and several other fillings were all packed into one bar. Kids loved breaking off each piece to discover what flavor came next. It felt like a tiny sampler box wrapped in chocolate. But the complicated process of making it eventually led to its disappearance in the early 1970s. 5. Flavor straws. Some snacks in the 1960s were simple, and that was part of their charm. Flavor straws, sold by General Foods, were thin paper straws filled with brightly colored flavored sugar. Kids would tear open one end and pour the powder straight into their mouths. It was sweet, messy, and almost impossible not to spill a little. The bright colors and bold flavors made them a favorite at corner stores. But as people began paying more attention to sugar and food additives, treats like flavor straws started to fade away. 6. Marathon bars. When kids first saw a marathon bar, they could hardly believe how long it was. Produced by Mars Incorporated, this braided caramel candy was coated in milk chocolate and stretched far longer than a typical candy bar. The wrapper even had a ruler printed on it so kids could measure its length. The chewy caramel meant it took a long time to finish, which made it feel like a real treat. For a while, it was one of the most fun candy bars around. But by the early 1980s, it had disappeared from store shelves. 7. Jell-O 1, 2, 3. Few desserts were as fascinating to kids as Jell-O 1, 2, 3. Produced by General Foods. When the powdered mix was blended and chilled, it magically separated into 3 layers. The bottom turned into firm gelatin, the middle became creamy, and the top formed a light, airy foam. Watching the layers appear in the refrigerator felt like a small kitchen miracle. Kids loved scooping all 3 textures in one spoonful, but the complicated formula eventually made it harder to produce, and it was discontinued. 8. Whistle Pops. Some candies were meant to be played with as much as they were meant to be eaten. Whistle Pops, created by Topps Company, were lollipops designed with small holes that let kids whistle through them. Playgrounds sometimes, filled with high-pitched squeaks as children, tried to make music with their candy. It was silly and a little noisy, but that was part of the fun. The candy itself tasted like a regular lollipop, but the whistle made it unforgettable. Eventually, newer novelty candies replaced it. Noi, Astropops. During the height of the space race, candy makers loved anything that looked futuristic. Astropops, produced by Leaf Brands, were cone-shaped lollipops stacked in bright layers of color. The design looked a bit like a rocket ready for launch. Kids would slowly lick the candy and watch the colors change as each layer disappeared. It was a simple idea, but the bold look made it stand out in candy jars. Over time, though, many novelty candies like Astropops became harder to find. 10. Chuckles. Chuckles, made by Leaf Brands, were chewy jelly candies coated in sugar and packed neatly in small boxes. Each row held different flavors like cherry, lemon, lime, orange, and licorice. Kids loved sliding the candies out one by one and choosing their favorite first. The bright colors made them look almost like tiny jewels inside the box. They were often sold at movie theaters and candy counters. While Chuckles still exist today, the classic snack packs that defined the 1960s have mostly faded from view. 11. Milkshake candy bars. The milkshake bar, made by Hollywood Candy Company, promised something every kid loved: the taste of a chocolate milkshake. Inside the bar was a blend of nougat, caramel, and chocolate designed to mimic the creamy dessert. It felt richer and smoother than many other candy bars at the time. Kids often spotted them near the checkout counter at drugstores. For a moment, it really did feel like carrying a milkshake in your pocket. But as companies merged and brands disappeared, the milkshake bar slowly faded away. 12. Raisinets snack boxes. Saturday afternoons often meant a trip to the movies. And for many kids, that also meant a small box of Raisinets made by Nestlé. These chocolate-covered raisins came in the perfect size for sharing with a friend. Kids loved shaking the little box and hearing the candies rattle inside before opening it. The mix of chewy fruit and sweet chocolate made them feel a little different from other candy. They became closely tied to the movie-going experience of the era. While Raisinets still exist today, the simple theater snack tradition has changed a lot since the 1960s. Snacks may seem like small things, but they often hold some of our biggest memories. For kids growing up in the 1960s, these treats were part of everyday life, shared with friends, tucked into lunchboxes, or enjoyed after a long day of playing outside. Some disappeared because companies moved on. Others simply faded as tastes changed over time. But every one of them tells a small story about what childhood felt like in another era. If this trip down memory lane brought back a few smiles, don't forget to like the video, share your favorite childhood snack in the comments, and subscribe for more nostalgic journeys into the past.